Welcome to the Richmond Events podcast, where we take you inside the UK's most exclusive business forums. You'll get to meet the delegates, suppliers and speakers shaping their industries. Richmond Events, this is where business gets done.
We're here at the Richmond Events Logistics and Supply Chain Forum, and I'm joined by Charlotte Morley. Charlotte, welcome.
Thank you.
Charlotte, so tell us what business you're a part of and your role within that.
Sure. So I'm the Operations Director at Elizabeth Scarlett, which is a luxury accessories brand. And I run the end-to-end operations, so I look after our production teams and our logistics and supply chain teams.
Incredible. So you actually started today by chairing the event and opening the event.
I did. It's such an honour to be able to address everybody first thing this morning and set the scene for why we're here, why connections and learning is so important in supply chain leadership journeys today.
And part of that was what then John Amaechi went to talk on about, sort of leadership and how getting the teams are. What did you take away from that conversation?
I think John's take on it is just so relevant to us today. You know, he's somebody who goes out to win and wants to achieve the absolute very best with the organisations that he works with, but really recognises that modern leadership isn't the same as perhaps people's traditional view of leadership. And it's really about how can we connect people, how can we learn to learn and to learn to relearn, how can we communicate with people so that they join us on these difficult journeys. And the supply chain context is so complex. There's continuous volatility and uncertainty, and that's not changing. It's not changing anytime soon. And we really have to lead in a way which gives people the security and helps them trust that we know where we're going. And when we don't know where we're going, that we can use their insights to find solutions to the world's most complicated problems.
It's been some incredible conversations today, and what I've seen as well is the supply chain and the logistics of it all it's so broad, but actually bringing together the rooms of people that have come together is crossing over those sorts of things and those learnings that people have had.
It is, and I think more than ever before, it really isn't just what you know, it is who you know, and it's who can you use, what skills do they have to make connections and find new solutions, particularly with the rise of AI and the access to data, which actually means all of us can access information about supply chain models and supply chain solutions in a way that you couldn't before. You don't have to rely on the knowledge of the leaders, the knowledge of the most experienced people, but you do have to find ways of then applying that knowledge. And that requires a slightly different skill, but also the more diverse your team and the more people you know, the easier it is to find those difficult answers.
Well, you touched on their resilience. I mean, we were asking for one word, how would you describe it at the moment? Resilience and AI were the two hot topics we kept coming up against, but bringing them together, using AI and automation to support the resilience and knowing what could be coming based on past experiences.
Exactly, and I think it's not necessarily knowing about what's exactly coming, because nobody can guess that. But actually it's about having an armoury of different types of solutions, different types of options, and relationships with different businesses and different people that will allow you to kind of address those problems and give you the optionality that resilience is.
And you've been able to also go along to some of the speakers today and listen there because, like you say, as much as you chaired the event, this is your role as well. What insights were you taking away from those conversations?
Oh, there's so many brilliant new connections and new insights. I think a couple of things I would highlight. We had an excellent session this afternoon on the importance to our industry of the next generation. And of the world being, frankly, there for them to be able to be the supply chain leaders of the future, and in particular the impact of climate change and the role that we all have in making sure that we do have future growth and equity in the world as well. 8 people in the world have the same wealth as half of the planet. And that disparagement between the disparity between the richest and the poorest really, really affects our industry, but also is the industry that can solve some of these problems. We can be part of that solution. And it's fascinating to hear some of the ideas that other businesses have, but also to honestly face into that problem together and say, we don't have all of the answers, and how can we solve them?
That's what we got to interview the team there as well, the speakers of that, and listening to the apprentices talk about how sitting in that boardroom with those C-suite and management teams, how their ideas can alter the future and change the way that business is now done.
It can, and I think it adds a new layer of challenge, right? Sometimes you just need somebody to say, well, why not? Why can't we do that? I don't care if it's not the way it's been done before. Let's do it differently. Let's try something else. And I think the new generations joining organisations have more opportunity than so many others do to ask those questions. But actually they can be asked by everybody. And some of the brilliant leaders that I've met here today are not supply chain lifers. They've come into supply chain or logistics from other industries or other parts of other functions in business. And they have different perspectives and so much to contribute as well to supply chain leadership.
It is like we say, isn't it? Sometimes you just need those fresh pair of eyes, and actually that could be across different sectors, different industries, and different age groups now as well.
Yeah. And it's great to meet, in the session I ran earlier, so many brilliant women as well who are in our industry. We're still a minority across supply chain and logistics. I think somewhere between 20 and 30% of the industry in the UK is female, and that's excluding drivers. Drivers are still 99% male. So actually there's so much more opportunity to bring different people into our industry, and it was just brilliant to meet and connect with so many women today.
And then on top of that, you then had the opportunity to sit down with some people who are match made for you, to have those connections. How important is it to get those sorts of connections and build those relationships?
I think it's really important to speak to people when you have the opportunity to kind of fact find and to understand what are people doing, what's on their agendas, what's in the industry, what are they proud of, what's at the forefront, and to kind of build relationships, which, yes, for some people today we're looking based on I have a tender for tomorrow and can you apply, but for many people it's just about how will I look at the opportunities that I have for the future, and who are the people that when I need a solution I will be able to pick up the phone to or connect with and find those supply chain solutions.
And it's something that Richmond Events are known to do, isn't it?
Yes.
It's what they are famous for and why people come to their events, because they match you exactly with the relationships that you need to start building. And that's all we've heard today is I've met the people I needed to meet, and I've met anywhere between 10 to 15 in one day, which wouldn't happen necessarily in a month, let alone a day.
And it forces you, honestly, as somebody who's so busy all the time, to kind of make the time and the space to have those conversations and to build those connections and to start to build those relationships that you can then go back to time and time again. And it's wonderful being here and seeing people that you know and people that you recognise from last time or from some other part of your business, and to be able to say, hey, how are you doing? How's it going? And rekindle some of those conversations that maybe you've had in the past as well.
So before we finish off, what is one piece of advice you would give to supply chain leaders today in the world we're in?
Wow. If I have to pick, can I have two, please?
Yes, you may.
So the two pieces of advice that I would want to give, one is make connections. Supply chain leadership can no longer be lonely at the top. It needs to be about who you know, what they're doing, and how you connect with them and bring their knowledge into your own thinking and your own organisations. And the other thing I think is really, really important is to not just think about supply chain and logistics. I think you can't be a brilliant supply chain and logistics leader if you are only thinking about your function. You have to understand how you fit into the wider business. You have to be able to talk the language of wider business, and you have to be able to take back the insights that supply chain and logistics can offer to your wider function, so that your wider business, so that those functions can work together and find even better solutions for your business and for the world.
Incredible. Charlotte, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.